So, Laurretta and I, we've known each other quite a while actually. I interviewed her when she first joined English National Ballet when we were just starting to make our way. But for those of you that are not sure what her history is, I'll say it in a nutshell. She was taught by her mother, then she got into English National Ballet School, and after that she was given a contract with the company and basically had rather a meteoric rise, I would say. Not without a lot of hard work, not really down. The first thing I want to ask you about, because I happened to be there, was your first Swan Lake, which happened to be at the Royal Albert Hall. And if anybody's been there, it's a massive stage, and I want to ask you how you felt about what you were feeling inside just before you went on stage.
Wow. So firstly, I want to say sorry, my voice is very beautiful right now, so bear with me. But with this, I remember at the time it was very, it's my favourite role, like this dream role, that's what you want to do when you become a ballerina. I always wanted to do Odette. So for me it was it's everything that I had dreamed of. And at the same time I was preparing for a competition in China. And I remember feeling maybe it was too much for me. I remember talking to Tamara saying like, do you think I'm capable of doing both? I think I should just maybe concentrate on just the Royal Albert Hall. And very confidently she was like, yes, I think you can do both. And I was like, oh, okay. So that was that. So I did both, and I was taught really well by Heartfelt Homecoming, who was the ballet mistress at English National Ballet at the time. She was Chinese. She really took me underneath her wing, and so I had a lot of one-on-one time with her. And James Forbat also, he was my partner to go to the competition, and he helped me a lot. So that was all coming up to it, and then on top of that, I also had like a month of rehearsals of Odette with Derek Dean. And if anybody knows Derek Dean, he is a stickler for those little details and everything. And I was so well prepared. Now, of course, when I got to the show, I couldn't even explain to you probably the emotions because it's pretty overwhelming. But at the same time, you have doubts because you don't know if you are capable of doing it. At the same time, you do have belief because you know you can do it. But you've got to be able to do it now, in that moment. And you also know everything that could maybe go wrong. And you can't step on the stage before the show. You don't have a curtain and the robe is around. And I just think, honestly, I think I'm so well prepared that my body knew what to do. It didn't matter where my head went. So I remember in the rounds there was the entrance, we have the attitude turns. And the last one, I started running, and it's black everywhere. And I'm normally quite good with my sense of direction, but I had no idea where I was going. I just was running, flapping my arms, and just hoping that Ariel, my partner, that when I turned around, I was in the right place. Luckily, I did go in the right direction, and my body knew what to do. But it was euphoric, really, because I don't know, the satisfaction of working so hard, doing it, and not breaking under the pressure. Also, I really remember, I come from a family who don't like to applaud or say bravo or something like this. So my family are quite quiet, but I don't know if there was other people that maybe supported me. So when I did the fouettes, everybody started clapping, and I couldn't believe how much it does really help. Because you see the Olympics, and normally when you do the Olympics at your home country, that country does better because the crowd is supporting. And I always heard that the support really makes you do a better performance. And there I witnessed it, I felt it, how to have that support around. It just created so much fire or so much excitement that I will stay in my head and my heart forever this time.
Yeah. I mean, there's also in the Albert Hall recipe, there is that close proximity of the audience. I don't know how off-putting that is, and you have to run on and run past them.
Mm-hmm.
Is that not quite unsettling, or do you feel you want because you know that you can't get out of it now, that sort of thing?
I don't know. The only thing that I remember thinking afterwards is that the audience was giving me a hug because they surround you, and because I felt so much love, I did feel like it was a huge hug. Like it's weird how when I did Prix de Lausanne, I remember there was obviously a class that we do, and there's a top tier where people can watch, and that completely freaked me out. I didn't like the fact that I didn't know where the front was. I didn't know who was watching. I really felt like this, but yet the Albert Hall could give you that same feeling. And yeah, I think it's because it's so big, and probably I was just thinking on just be on your leg. So, yeah, that's what I remember. I remember that I had so much love, so much support, and feeling hugged. So I was really, really lucky to have this good feeling.
And do you think there is a big difference between the sort of technical challenges of doing it at the Albert Hall, because you're being watched on all sides, aren't you?
Yes.
Rather than a proscenium where you kind of tailor yourself to showing your best side or whatever.
Yes.
That it must be very nerve-wracking thinking somebody must have seen that, you know, that foot wasn't as turned out as it should have been, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but my knowledge then was not as vast as what it is now, so I don't think I really took that into account.
Okay.
I left that for the coach to tell me that this leg is not so good. I just was there because I desperately wanted to dance and perform the best that I could, and that was it. But I think now it might be a bit more different. But I think I'm different now, as in I feel very much now in where I am as a dancer and a person, that I just want to enjoy every moment on stage, and you can only do your best. And there's no point stressing about, oh, this leg turned in or this, that. The most important thing is to go on there, tell the story, enjoy every single moment, and share the love, really share the love of performing, of being with people, because I think it's really important, and this is why we are kind of on earth, is to share. And if that's in art or if that's in something else, just to give this energy. And I hope that I will enjoy it just as much as them.
Absolutely. We had a quick chat beforehand about doing theatre in Mary Steephen's Giselle. You also said that was a major turning point for you in your career. Tell me about that.
Well, this was earlier on. So with Swan Lake, it was very much during Tamara Rojo's time as director. And with this, it was during Wayne Evelyn's, and I had just been at the company about 6 months. And obviously from school, you're like big fish in a small pond. And then you get into company life and things really change. And for me, I like to be busy, I like to be moving. If I'm not busy enough, my brain starts overthinking everything. And I really kind of started to feel depressed. I think a lot of maybe students go through this when they first join the company. And then suddenly, because of lots of injuries, I was presented, the opportunity to do theatre. And also they noticed I was watching every single rehearsal. Like, I never left, I just kept on watching theatre. And so they said, are you okay to do this? They gave me, I think, like 2 days notice, something like this. I had 4 rehearsals, something like that. And I remember knowing all the steps because I had watched it in rehearsals so many times, I had learnt it. And one of the dancers just gave me a wrote down like all the mise en scène, make sure which order you do it in, and literally off stage she was there telling me, oh, this one. But for me it was so exciting. And I remember really freaking out beforehand and going, oh, it's like the London Coliseum and everything, and my mum said to me, for goodness sake, if you think like this, you're not going to enjoy it. So what's the point? She was really good at like, that's it. And so I thought, yeah, and I just went for it and loved it. And for me, after doing that, I think Wayne saw me differently, and I got more opportunities because of it. So
I have to ask you one question though, because I've experienced it myself. It's very, very tough on stamina, isn't it?
oh yes,
And I would imagine that 2 days is not enough time to build up sufficient stamina. I know naturally strong, but was that something that crossed your mind, that you were worried you weren't going to get through it, or did you just not have a choice?
I didn't. I think the adrenaline kicked in. I think it was just go. And by nature, my stamina does tend to. I can push my body once really hard, and already the next day it's gone up a notch. I feel that's one thing that my body has been very good at blessing me with, is to have better stamina, and then with that, then hopefully you're not so tired. But it was after the Colosseum season, well, the end of the Colosseum season. So obviously, even though I wasn't doing loads, we had just done Snow Queen and Nutcracker. So I was on like every single show, and it is a completely different way of life. So I think I can't really tell you. Although I had a video doing it, and I was like, okay, still going.
So I want to move on a little bit, because in 2017 you made the decision to go to Munich, and I mean there were probably lots of reasons for that, but I would imagine that it was expanding your repertoire that was the carrot on the end of the stick.
Yeah.
So tell me about that and new things that you've done.
Well, I started thinking about leaving because there was definitely 2 ballets I really wanted to do, which was Don Quixote and the Bayadère. And because of other factors too, I started looking, and Munich suddenly that year had both those ballets in the first, I think it was the first 6 months. And I was like, this is a sign. And so my husband and I, we auditioned, and I very much the idea, look, if it's meant to be, it will happen, and if it's not, it won't. So it happened, and I didn't really know what I was doing, to be honest. As a person, I never ever wanted to leave English National Ballet. I never wanted to leave England. I am so connected with my family and my roots, and I felt I had everything. I was a principal at English National Ballet, I'm a British dancer, I had my family. What more could I want? But yeah, I had to continue to push, otherwise I didn't want to just start to get into a routine and just sit back. I'm a hungry person by nature, which is a good thing sometimes, bad thing sometimes. So I never ever imagined that I would ever live abroad. And for me, it made me realise how much my career and how much dancing meant to me, that I would actually make that step. Because if you had asked me at EMB 6 months or even a year before, I'd be like, no, I'm never leaving. And something that I look back on, and even now I can pinch myself and say, wow, you really just wanted more food, more experiences, and I definitely have had that, and I am definitely a different dancer because of those opportunities, and I wouldn't change anything, so I'm very lucky.
And you will have worked with some choreographers in Munich that you did not have the opportunity to work with at English National Ballet. So of those experiences, which ones would you pick out especially?
Oh, I think every single one of them has something special. Like, you can't win at his speeds, like, just to keep up with the guy, he was like crazy. And it's funny how once you work with him after a week, you speed up as well, and you get used to it. And I didn't have that many actually with the choreographers, because I came a year later when they were all there. So I missed out on Spartacus with the actual people who came from Russia and really said about those like details. But of course, my coach Judith Juros, who is wonderful in Munich, who's really supported me and guided me through everything. She gave me a lot of information, and that was phenomenal. But really recently, I had such a wonderful experience with Sol Leon and Paul Lightfoot. And I really believe that that happened at the right time in my life because I had had a baby. And the piece is very much about humanity, growing old. I basically have to play an older lady who's going to go in, she's forgetting things, and she's with her son, and she doesn't know who he is, and this is all layers and layers and layers. Like I could talk about it for hours, like how much detail we went in. And after COVID, I'm sure everybody lost somebody. I lost my nan, and every single time I dance it, I connect with her again. I also connect with my mum, and I connect with my daughter, like I pretend my son is my daughter, and if I ever say sorry to her whilst I'm dancing, like to him, I'm also saying to her, like, forgive me. And it's so deep, and I honestly think I'm a different person after working with them, because it completely changed my way of working, seeing life. They're so positive, as in ballet we always criticise it, like this and this and this, and they're like, oh, it's beautiful, like, enhance, like, embrace your differences, and it was really, really wonderful.
It becomes more about the emotion rather than just getting through the steps and technically achieving what you set out to do. Because once you get to that stage, there's so much more to you as an individual that the technique becomes secondary.
Yeah, and I'm enjoying that.
Yeah,
I'm really enjoying that. Of course, like if like recently did Swan Lake again, and of course the steps are so important because it's so obvious if you come off your leg or not. But you tend to do the steps better if you have a really good emotional thought for every step, instead of, okay, just do an arabesque, okay, then I'm just washing myself. It's like, why do I do that arabesque? Why do I breathe? Like, everything means something. And some days are better than others, and you also have to go with that too, because you can do a show where you're like, I'm not feeling as much as the last show. Why? Why am I not in the role so much? And you have to let it go and keep on moving, and the show will just develop in a different way. So it's wonderful. And recently I had a wonderful experience of working with Christopher Wilden, and also Jonathan and Jason, his team. And of course, as a British person, I've always kind of wanted to work with him. And I know so much, he's so famous and everything. I had to work in Alice in Wonderland, and it was wonderful. And also you can see the passion. I think just working with anybody with so much passion, it just lights the fire inside. And I think it's been wonderful, really.
it's a great ballet as well. It's got so many fabulous walls in it.
And you should have seen him. He was 1 minute the rabbit, next minute the queen, like just could switch like anything. And you could see the whole room just stopped. They were silent. Everybody's watching, learning. And for anyone to come into a room and completely take control of the room just shows how much like talent that they've got. And it was wonderful.
And did you do the Queen of Hearts as well?
No, I'd love to. Yeah, great.
Well, I'll drop you a message.
Please. No, I love Alice. I love Alice. But Queen also, I also love to always do complete polar opposites.
Yeah.
I love this, I love trying to prove people wrong. Oh, she's so this. And then you do the complete opposite. And you're like, oh. I mean, I think it's just great fun.
So, I have to ask you about Analia, your daughter, because that changes everything. And tell me about her.
Okay, Analia is my daughter. She is maybe going to be 2 in February. She is very independent, full on.
Sorry.
No, don't worry. Okay. Sorry. She's very independent. I think she's very much Jonas, my husband's kind of personality. She's fiery. I love it. She's independent, like I said, she's independent, but we try to be really strong with her just to make sure she's disciplined and says please and thank you and is not a brat. So we don't want that. But she's wonderful, and you know what I find is when a child sees something for the first time and their eyes light up, and you can see like them go like, wow, like, oh, the bin opened, you know, where the foot, instead of you actually opening with your hand, and just the brain, and you just see that, and because you get older, we go through COVID, sometimes you get a bit like, world, life, kind of thing, and then you see this little innocent thing, just finding such joy in every little thing, it makes you go, yeah, life is beautiful. You must remember to be like this and not get sucked into this vortex of moaning, and which us ballet dancers tend to do quite a lot. So you have to stop it.
What you need to know is that she will be teaching you technology and how your phone works and your computer before you know it.
Yeah, she already knows like how to open the camera, and of course we take lots of photos of her. So when the camera's out, she's already like either not posing, she doesn't want a photo, or the side eye, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you're not even two. Like,
so, how do you think it's changed you as an artist? Because motherhood does change you in so many ways. It makes you appreciate different things, and priorities change. So, what does it bring to your performing life?
I definitely feel a lot more emotions. I feel deeper. Like we just did in the park. I did it last night actually. I didn't. But
you made your debut on Saturday night.
Yes.
And then your second performance was yesterday. So a ballet by Angela Prejudicage, which is, how would you describe it? Neoclassical, but
I don't know. Definitely some contemporary moments, very much. But it's me, it's like Baroque era, and he really gets that feeling of it. I wouldn't say it's neoclassical. Like for me, it's also my role. I feel like it's more like a play. Of course, you are dancing, but it's so real. Like when he touches you, and he just is very, very simple. And because it's so simple, I just really felt like a woman. And I really felt, wow, when do you get the chance to just be a woman on stage? At that point, she was nothing else. And I don't know how the audience felt, but as a dancer, as a person, I really enjoyed the whole romance of it. It's very romantic in a way, and being a woman, and I definitely can feel, because I've had a baby, he touches you and he touches your stomach, and it's just, there's so much more depth to it, because it means more to me there than what it did before Analia. I don't know, and that involves everything. I just feel so much more emotional, I feel so much more love, actually. I feel more love than ever before, and I feel I'm more understanding, more forgiving, not just to myself, but my fellow colleagues, to the staff members. Because as dancers, it's so easy, as humans actually, it's so easy just to point and say, what's that, you did a bad job or something like this. It's so easy, but you have to remember, you don't know what day they've had. You might be trying their best. You don't, some days you wake up and you find some news out that really hits you, triggers you. We're all here just to connect. That's all we're here for. We're here on this earth to connect and share and to love, and I really feel very emotional with that. I feel maybe too much. It's great. But that's how I feel after the baby, and enjoying dancing, I think, more than ever.
Fantastic. So another question I would like to ask is how you balance parenthood with such a strenuous work life?
I'm still working on it. So I think I'm very lucky to have such a supportive husband. Even though he's working a lot, we are very lucky in the roles that we're doing. And if we do anything like in the same show, we're like different parts, we're not with the same people. So we can really juggle. And we're very blessed. I don't think anywhere, I've never heard in Munich to have a kindergarten, a nursery, literally in the studio building. So we have a theatre and we cross the road, and we also have 2 extra studios. And so in the morning I drop her off. Normally I do class at the theatre, so I literally have to walk across the road. And she finishes there at 3:30, but we try to pick her up at 3 o'clock every single day. So already that's half of the day not stressing. And she loves it as well. She loves being around other children. She loves the music. We always do a music session. And she's the smallest, but she's the loudest. So she's very happy there. And also the dancers are really, really nice. And they are willing to help. I try not to ever ask anybody though, because I never want to make somebody feel awkward. So we always try to do it between ourselves, or actually get a babysitter if the hours are different. But it's hard at times, but you just have to do your best, and that's all you can do. And when I get guilty or I feel bad, that's what I say to myself. All you can do is your best. And if people judge you, then that's all you can do. You're only human. So it helps me.
I'm sure you do a wonderful job, and I won't worry about that. So tell me how living in Munich itself has changed your life, because it's very, very different from living in London.
Yeah.
And you're missing all the Christmas markets.
Yeah, no, I did go. I had a day where we had to, I think I had a day off, and Annalena was in the kindergarten, so I used that opportunity. For me though, I definitely, Jan and I really struggled to begin with. Also, Jan had been in another company beforehand. He lived in Cuba, so he had more experience than me, but I was a British girl inside out. I went to just one company, and I thought all companies work the same. And I thought every country is the same, they just have different kind of names of the shop. Instead of Boots, it's DM or something like this. You know. But for me, I know it used to be like this when my mum and dad were younger, but Sundays really everything was closed. But my experience is here is that's my day to shop, that's my day to be a human, you know, to just go and explore. And in Munich, suddenly, you were forced to rest. And to begin with, I was not happy about it. But after a while, I actually was this is quite nice to make sure that you rest on your Sunday. And I found that I was looking after my body better. But the work schedule was very different. Here, I would say here E&B definitely, you work a lot more kind of hours consecutively. Whereas in Munich, you would wake up very early, then have a huge break before the show. And I'm not a napper. I don't like naps. And everybody naps because that's the way they keep their energy. And I after a couple of years, I learned how to nap, and actually it was good. But then, of course, COVID came and kind of messed everything up. I had a baby. That's definitely the time for that. But yeah, I really struggled. And also, I'm quite a stubborn person. And when I came into the theatre, I was very much like, why is it working like this when it's so much more simple to do it like this? And at E&B, we always did it like this. I couldn't understand. And it was really a wake-up call. And I had to really, get rid of everything that I've learned already, get rid of any pride as well. Completely, let's go back to the basics. You have to accept that you're in a different system, you're in a different country. You need to work their way. You can't change it. So I opened up, and there's still some things where I don't really understand, but they do work, and there's some things that I go, oh, yeah, that is better. So definitely, I've learned so much, like what I said. I feel like I've got a lot more knowledge and more experience. But yeah, it was a tough transition period, but now I'm used to it. So.
Great. I wanted to ask you about the differences, because you've had a change of director. We won't talk too much about Igor Zelensky for obvious reasons, but he obviously gave you some chances, and then you came back after the birth of your daughter, and it was Laurretta. So tell me how that's worked.
To be honest, I do feel with every director I've had, I need time always to show what I can give. And I think every dancer needs time, but I'm quite impatient and I want things fast. And I remember asking Tamara for things, and to begin with, she was a bit like, no, after 6 months she could see again. Same with Igor, obviously, he gave me the contract, but I didn't feel he was personally like, oh yeah, until I had proven myself I was reliable, always there, professional, I knew my stuff, on stage, any role I can do, and the trust came. And I feel the same has happened with Laurent again, because also I had a baby. He probably didn't really see what I could do, and with time, he then saw again, and things had changed again. So I always find with every director, I always have to prove myself. And with time, sometimes it gets a bit annoying, because you feel like I've had so many years experience, like, can I just do my job and just concentrate on that and that's it? But sometimes I think it's good to keep the fire in the belly, to make sure that you want it. And I think if you kind of get to a stage where I don't know, I think it's fine to feel like you've done that time of proving yourself. But anyway, nevertheless, I feel like I proved myself again, and it kind of worked out. It's going well again. But I found really Igor, a lot of people can say bad things about him. I think personal life, nobody knows what's going on. But as professionally working with him, he never once told me how I should dance. He let every dancer become who they were naturally. And he didn't really want to get involved too much, not from a lazy point of view, but I really think that he really wanted the connection between the staff and the dancers, and that I think that's really how it works in Russia. It's very much the staff choosing who they like and involved in them. It's a very close relationship. And any corrections he would give would go through the coach. So he was not so, I didn't have much one-to-one, but he was a very funny guy, always making jokes, which was nice to keep the mood light. But when I told him I was pregnant, I was so scared. I was so petrified because another principal dancer also literally 3 weeks beforehand said she was pregnant. And I was like, oh my God, he's going to hate me. Because in Munich, we don't have so many principals. Who is maybe 5. And he definitely really saw some in certain roles and some in others. And I thought, oh, he's going to kill me. And he was, I would say, the nicest ever. And I felt so supported. And even at Christmas time, he said Merry Christmas to me. He said Happy Birthday to me. I knew it was the first time that I felt in my career, I'm going to be okay after the baby. That he's going to give me that time, that support. And it was really nice. And that's something that I will always say thank you to him, because I don't think not everybody gets that. And even if they are not given any pressure, they might feel something, as he definitely gave me this, maybe you're ready to come back. We'll discuss it then, because already I was like, I want to come back in this show. I'm scared about losing my place. And he was like, no, I've seen people fight and get injured. Let's he was very mature about it. Of course, he's older, but he's a little more me like. And then Laurent came, and it was completely whirlwind of emotions because I was finally so settled and felt confident that yes, everything's going to go well. I can just work on me. And then suddenly a different director, and I thought, oh my god. So I struggled. Nothing from Laurent's point of view. He did nothing wrong, but I struggled with the fact that somebody's going to be judging me when I'm not going to be at my best. But I need that show to put my body in gear, as if it's just, I'll get yourself together, and then when you're together, we'll give you a show. For me, it doesn't really happen, but to have that, like, we're going to come back from this show, it helps me. And I remember.
What was the first thing that you did?
Christopher Wood and Cinderella. Yes.
Tough.
Yeah, it was. What I found, everybody's different, but what I found, and I found frustrating, was that my body actually, strength-wise, came back quite quickly. I was able to jump and to get my strength back quite well. But something that taboo we never really want to talk about is the weight and how you look and stuff. But that ballerina look, you cannot get away from it. It's like a rose. Like, as a dancer, all you want is your best line. And for me, I don't think it's about weight or anything about this. All you want is that best purity of line for you. And for some people, they can get away with being 2 kilos heavier. Some people, they have to be 2 kilos lighter to get their prime. And I know my prime. Everybody kind of gets to know it at some point. And for me, after the baby, it took a long time to get rid of that baby weight. And the more I tried, the more it would hold on. And it's something that I can see that I put so much pressure on myself, which I regret, but I had to go through it to realise what I was going through and accept. And then it got to about 9 months after the baby, and I said, you know what? I'm trying so hard to lose this baby weight, and nothing's moving. And I got to a point where I felt like I wasn't actually eating much at all. And then I was like, you know what? I can't live like this. That's it. I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to eat. I don't care. And I think it was the first time I realised the mental capacity, I think, of just stressing. And then when I said, you know, I would swear right now, like, you know, I let it all go and everything changed. And it's so funny how, I don't know, everybody's different, but it's quite a big experience for me. So, yeah.
So, I'm just looking at the time, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Time. I want to talk about coming back to English National to guest.
Yeah.
How special is that? And it is another milestone, really, that you're coming back as a guest ballerina to the company where you started. You're doing Nutcracker, which is, I mean, Sugar Plum is, it's magical, isn't it? It's
Really using my voice.
So, was it Aaron who kind of, were you in discussion with him and
Yeah.
you know, and what did you feel like when he said, yes, come and do some shows?
Yeah, it was definitely like we definitely discussed things on and off for a while. And then it was just something that popped into the conversation. And I think for both of us, it was like, yeah, that would be great. And to be honest, I never believe anything until it's in black and white. So I never get excited too soon. But when it was official, it's like, for me, it's really a big thing because I feel for me, I'm a bit like, I don't take this too far. It's just like it's saying like, like mafia with my home country, you know, like it's my family, and I will have this connection with England so much. It's, even though I'm in a different country, it's my home country. It's where my family are. It's in my blood, and to come to back to the company that basically gave me everything, not everything, but it started me off, and it means so much. I grew so much as a person, as a dancer, and to be able to come back is really wonderful. And I just hope that I can give something that inspires somebody else, because always I will come and just enjoy myself, but also I don't want to disappoint, because there is a bit of that pressure. I haven't been here for about seven years, I think. So it's like that time has flown by, and I really hope that people, if people come to see me dance, especially, that they don't go, oh, she's okay. But
They won't.
that's when the new side of me goes, well, you just do it because you love it, and you're here every single day because you love it and you enjoy it, and I just got to make sure that I go there and enjoy it, because at the end of the day, once the career is over, it's gone. So you've got to enjoy every moment. So I'm looking forward to it.
And you're dancing with Lorenzo Tersi,
Yes.
and he's not somebody you've danced with before.
No.
So tell me how you feel about that.
It's been a long time since I've danced with anybody that I've never known. And immediately when I found out, I was like, I can't dance with somebody that I've never met. So I immediately contacted E&B saying, I have to meet him. Is it possible on this week? I think it's your first week back to work, and it's my last week in England before I go back to Munich. Can I come and meet him? Can we have at least 45 minutes? If we can try some stuff, but not to have anybody there, just to have us two, because for me it just felt so bizarre. I've had so many years, everybody at E&B I knew already, and then in Munich I knew so many people too. I danced with RCL, he was already at E&B guesting. Yona, I danced with a lot, he's my husband, you know. So it felt weird, and as soon as we spoke and everything, he's a really nice person, really easy, and I think when you, at E&B there's a lot of shows, but now I'm used to Munich where there's not so many. I now create every studio time is like a show time. Like I don't perform, but that every moment is special. So I want that studio time to also be enjoyable. I also want it to be memorable, and to work with somebody who also can laugh and joke, and you can laugh at yourself, at each other, we did something silly, or, you know, that's all part of it. So I was really happy to be matched with somebody who didn't have an ego, who was just really easy to get along with. So.
And also you're going back into Wayne's production, which you know.
Yes.
Which must be some comfort in a way that it's not all brand new.
Oh no. I think we had one rehearsal for the pas de trois after the balloon, in the beginning of that too. And it was just like running it. Okay, Laurretta with your people, and we just did it. And it was amazing to just, the body remembered everything. Okay, maybe some details Wayne I think has changed, so I had to learn those. But obviously I have some Juno as well, it's a very good partner, like, wow. I do with Fabian too, but in that rehearsal I had Streeter, James Streeter. So for me it was like a dream, or we were having so much fun, and that's what it was all about. So I was like a little girl, so there wasn't any acting there.
So, what are you going to be going back to after you have done your performances here, and in terms of your work in Munich? Have you got anything new coming up for the rest of this season?
Yes, well, immediately in January we have Onegin. So for me, it's one of my favourite ballets, and I'm doing Tatiana. So I've already done it once before, so I'm very lucky to do that. And Reed Anderson's going to come again and coach us a bit again, because before we had maybe like 2 days. So this time he's going to be there for a bit longer than for a week. So it will be really nice to revisit the role and just to enjoy everything about it. So that I'm really looking forward to. And then we've got the Bayadère, which is another classic. Sorry. And we got a triple bill too, but we don't know the casting for that. That's in March, April time. and some more schmetterlings, which is this piece that I told you about that I worked with these choreographers. And in Munich, it's a little bit more like you do one show, then another show, and then you come back to that show, and then you go again. So you're always like in and out, which I really like emotionally, because you have to be on it. So it's really exciting, but you've got to be really in the moment, and that's what I've learned, and that's what I love about. Because when you do kind of block chunks, I find technically your body gets so into it, it becomes so easy. But then emotionally or mentally, you can maybe not be so spontaneous. Right. So I think in each aspect, one has something good and one has something bad, because if you keep on switching, you might not be quite in that right role because you've just been doing something else. So yeah, it will be, it's just the way it is.
And then at the end, towards the end of the season, you have a ballet week, don't you?
Oh yeah, I think this year is more Easter time, or just after Easter.
And then you do everything in 1 week.
Yeah, this year's not so bad, I think, because we have 2 days off, I think, in the middle. But normally we have a week, and it's literally a different ballet every single day of that week. And I think for the ballet, it's very hard. They don't really struggle, but it's hard to have so much information. As for principals, you might get 2 ballets each. So actually for you to prepare, it's a lot easier than for the ballet. So of course you might do one and then send me another one, but you have time. It's more studio space that you might know what you're doing, but the studio might not be available. So but you just have to get on with it. What else can you do? Just go for it and you do it.
So one last question. Do you think you will come back and dance permanently in this country, or do you think you're going to stay in Munich, or are you in a complete quandary about the whole situation?
Well, first there has to be an offer on the table,
of course.
But it's really, I think it would be good to have experiences to help. We just got to see what happens, and if there is anything on the table, then I think it will be something that really needs to be thought through seriously. Regarding the family situation, it's not just me anymore. And it's something that we just see what happens, but it's going to be, I don't know, I've always wanted, I want to come back. It's always been in me, but you have to take into consideration other things, and also depending on companies, what repertoire. That's always been my biggest thing. That's the reason why I left in the first place, because I wanted more to be stretched more. But the world that we live in ballet is changing all the time. And what, say, 10 years ago was very in fashion and what everybody was pushing for, now is a different it's a different angle. So we've got to see what happens as well. But to be honest, I'm just in the now. I'm looking forward to the shows and just trying to get nervous.
So you've got a little bit of time before your first show is on the 20th of December.
Yes, but I have to go back to Baden-Baden and do Cinderella this Sunday. So I have a lot of flying to do. So I just got to remember which role I am and which day. So I'm sure it will be fine. But I just say, just be in the moment and just see what happens.
Okay, Susan, what should we do?